Wassail, beautiful people. It's Rob. Or is he that way? Or is he
Wassail.
that way? Or is he that way? He's
I'm in space. I'm in space. Today I'm a star seed. I'm an illusion.
And I'm somehow still in the jungle dressed as a plant. So we're going to do, whoa, the cards are going. We're going to do a reading and you're not going to be able to see the cards.
You don't need to see the cards.
Green screen.
You just need to believe.
Yeah, we're lying to you. Right, so I can't shuffle these. There's not enough. So why do it? You can't see. But
trust me, they're there.
I'm moving them up and down, forwards and backwards. And in a minute, I'm going to stop. And actually, I'm going to get Rob to pick a number between 1 and 10, and I'll count
7
to that number. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops. 5. 6, 7. Ooh, you can't see it.
There's nothing there. Ooh,
It's
the
healer empath.
Oh.
Watch it vanish. Watch it vanish. Healer empath.
That was one of the ones we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels like one I might know something about.
You just might.
So I think I usually pick a rune at this point. So if you have your raw runes, you can do that. Oh, actually, what I will do is I'll just have a quick look at my book while you're picking.
All right, sounds good. Let me shuffle. Round and round the cards go. Where they stop, nobody knows.
Can't see him.
I feel like I'm channeling a magician today.
The conjurer.
The conjurer.
I need to find the books of the runes for the poems.
Maybe I'll pull a rabbit out of my hat.
Oh, did you bring the rabbit?
Hey, all right, I got 2. I got Bjork. I'll try to keep it up there. And I also got Anvil.
You see, that interests me before we even read it, just like the resistance we all have to being reborn in a healed energy. It's reminding me immediately of that thing where when you go for a healing, a good healer will say, where'd they go? Where'd they go?
Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
No.
Oh, shit. Sorry, you were saying something good. You were telling the people things that were probably going to be helpful to their lives, and I'm here I am digging around. All right, I'm going to shut up for a second. You.
All it is that when you go for a healing, a good healer will say to you, what are you going to give up to be healed? Because it's always something we have as a thought pattern that creates the disharmony that doesn't allow us to heal. And I guess, I don't know, as we go through this, we'll discover that it's actually about a healer facilitates, but you heal. They don't heal you as such. There's got to be some kind of exchange with the cosmos or faith or something. I don't know. But let's find the willfulness, unwiller, which is what number?
I don't have a number on these. I didn't write
numbers. And I can't remember all the numbers.
It's disappointing all the numerologists.
Yeah.
I don't.
It's something, I've got a feeling it's in the 30s for some reason, but.
Here I am, like I was pretending, like, I think it's somewhere. I don't know.
It's. I'm probably just going to go whizzing past it. Do some magic tricks while I look. See if you can swallow cards.
I'm actually pretty good at this. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Oh. Oh. Whoa. How he do that? Oh, it's back. There it is. All right, let's see if I can.
God. It was the penultimate card. Weirdly, this one.
Oh my gosh, there it is.
That one was the first card on the deck on the bottom when I turned them up, and this one was the second to last one on the bottom.
Well, I made Bjarken disappear and it reappeared in Argentina.
From space to the jungle. He's the macro, I'm the micro.
I'm the spaceman.
Right, I'm gonna open my new phone again. Turns off. It just closes down on everything. And then luckily this isn't doing it on the app now on the iPad. So 43, 43, 43, 43.
Which is a 7.
Absolutely. And why can I not see that book? It's missing. Here we go. Book of the Rose. 43. This is going to be fun. We haven't tried seeing if you can see an iPhone.
Yeah. Nope. Not even close.
No, but if I get close to it. Well, I can't show you that. You're going to have to look at the thumbnail. It's closed again.
Oh no.
It didn't like me messing around with it. It's like, don't mock me.
I appreciate our commitment to the backgrounds where it's just kind of like
yeah.
Sorry people, you can't see the cards, you can't see the iPhone, you can't see anything, but we'll
beautiful scenery. Beautiful scenery.
Can't help.
I wonder if you can upload your own pictures and have them behind.
You sure can.
Oh, see, I could have had the rune image behind if we'd pre-chosen.
Hindsight's 2020.
You could have been sitting behind one card, I could have been sitting behind the other.
But I kind of like being in space. Go ahead.
Unwheeler, willful, resistance. We are all born to lock horns with life, to bring trouble and tussle with those fool enough to try ruling us. The grip of youth fights for its truth. Strike the death knell history bell and blast out the past. Punctuate, perforate, mark and center fresh neighborhood for your good to be stamped, revamped and retuned.
That fits really nice. That fits really nice with Bjarken, with Bjork.
Yeah. Because it's about setting up something new in your own energy, in your own name, in your own scent. Now, number 18, let's find 18, Book of the Runes. Here we go. I'm not going to try and show you it because we all know it won't work.
I'll hold up the card. I'll be useful.
So, Björk. Oh, yeah. Björk. Begin. Poplar tree. Oh, there's an interesting energy separate to this. Before I start, I just read an article about poplar trees. Mm-hmm. They started in London and they were a cross between two different trees, a sycamore and something else. And for a long time, they've been a really important urban tree. And now they're beginning to die and they can't seem to get them to grow because tarmac's starving them of their water. So they're feeding water in their leaves and they're not getting water because it's being channeled off for sewers. And so we've got to look at how we plant urban landscapes.
When you were talking about that, I started to see images of like a young tree when people actually put the posts next to it and then like tie the twine or whatever to try to center it. And I don't know, I feel like that's some kind of connection between these two.
Because the Amwiller is about being a teenager. It's about being in that kind of young, willful, trying to establish your own character as you go into adulthood.
Yeah. And something too about that idea of resistance, like the two, like the pulling on each side of the tree straightens it. Something about that resistance.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm curious as to what shows up.
It looks like I'm drinking nothing.
It's weird that water is so cosmic, it kind of is defying. Hey! Sorry, did you want to know things about being in a healer empath?
This is water, by the way. It's not vodka or gin.
Or gin. So let me read Björk and then we might be able to get on with something.
I love how we keep forgetting that, like, we're recording this.
Yeah, is anyone watching? Doesn't matter. Let's just have fun.
You and me. Okay.
You and me together. Right, so Björk, begin. Poplar tree. Adapting to relentless environmental stress. Wow. Sorry. Let's start again. Adapting to relentless environmental stress. Poplar trees wrap seeds in cotton casings and give these future wishes pre-wrapped and ready-mapped to the wind to carry, spread, and distribute. Their roots, safe from wildfires, are studded with buds, ready to erupt from below the soil and grow anew. Same roots, new home, new world. Begin again with certain vigor, knowing your future is assured. All right.
Nice. Yeah, I like
that is this energy of the vanishing healer empath. Look, I've gone. Way.
I like how you no.
This energy is about. I want to say that there's a willful resistance to healing that, as a healer empath, you run into. You run into people who want you to wave a magic wand and make them well. Any form of healing, the healer is the vessel through which energy can come, but only if you're willing to work with it. What depth is up there?
I've got mystical shaman. I was going to say that makes me think of a term that we used in counseling a lot. And we used to always talk about help rejecting complaining. So like when people would come into counseling and they would just kind of like, they'd have this urge just to kind of complain about things, right? Like as we all do when things go badly. But then like whenever you'd have some kind of suggestion of, hey, it's like, I don't know, if you're coming in for marital problems, it's like, well, just a suggestion, but like maybe don't cheat on your spouse. That might help a little bit. But then they'd have a bunch of reasons why they can't stop cheating on their spouse. And then you're kind of like, well, if you're coming for help, why are you rejecting the help anyways, right? So but that's always like a really important question, because when I think like, so like in that kind of instance, that's a really overt example of how that can happen. But I think we all kind of do that in different ways, like based on our different programmings, where it's like, I don't know, like I really want to create art, but then I tell myself I don't have time to ever create art. I don't have time to, and it's like, well, is it really that you don't have time, or is it just that, like you just need to make some time for that to happen?
This willfulness is that energy of, I was thinking this morning about how we see things in others and we make judgments on others. And what's really interesting is that's like a kind of this willfulness where we see an attribute of ourselves in another, projected onto another, because we literally are too willful to face it in ourselves.
So you're saying I don't know exactly how every other person should live their lives?
No,
I don't have it all figured out.
You know everything. Oh, be wise one.
Oh, yes. We're wise.
So I'm going to shuffle these as well. These, right. There they are, there they're not. There they are, there they're not.
Ooh, I pulled two, and they both fell to the floor, kind of in the way, that we're talking about, like things that don't want to be acknowledged. They, whoa. Sorry. Okay, got distracted. But I got the curse and I got the giveaway.
Oh my goodness. They were the cards I got yesterday in the reading, or the day before.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay, so first of all, I feel like the curse to me talks about the fact that that expression isn't always necessarily the key. So I don't want to try to say that it's not important to talk about our problems, but sometimes just talking about our problems don't necessarily have the benefit, that we think that it's necessarily going to have. Because sometimes just like reciting the same story and reciting the same narrative over and over again can actually just kind of like keep you stuck and can keep you stuck in an emotional state that you don't really want to be in. And so when you're looking to heal yourself, you want to be cognizant of whether or not talking about the issue is actually helpful to you. So like, because sometimes talking about your problems is super helpful. You tell somebody about it and like somehow you get some kind of emotional relief quality from it, like some type of catharsis. But if you're not getting that, I think it's kind of like the curse is sort of like shut your mouth. Like the words aren't helping you.
That's the energy that I got with the cards yesterday. It wasn't to do so much with the curse as a silence, as like there's information that we think we need and we're not meant to have. The other thing I would say is that me as a sound healer, people would come in and they would want to do the thing you said. They'd want to tell you all their problems, and I would immediately go, shh, I don't want you to tell me anything. I'll tell you what spirit is telling me is your blockage. Oh,
yeah, that's good.
Partly because you want to tune in and show them that you're reading them properly. If someone comes in and says, I've got this, you go, oh, it's your liver. They've just told you they drink too much.
Right. Well, yeah, I think like that I think is so giveaway for me is a lot like sacrifice. It's kind of that, and so it's like sacrificing, giving away the compulsive need to talk things into the ground, or to, because I think there's an importance to trying to find relief outside of verbal relief, because verbal relief doesn't really, like, it's tip of the iceberg, right? So like if we kind of have that theory of mind of the conscious, the subconscious, the collective unconscious, it's like try to look for those deeper root-based kind of approaches that aren't necessarily verbal, that aren't necessarily so cognitive and thought-based, because that's not really like where the emotional level is. The emotional level's like deep down inside the body, and if you're trying to expel some of that, you're just not going to get the kind of relief that you want from it.
Also, if you go to a therapist and you talk out your problems, quite often therapists will nod and agree with you. And actually, sometimes I think you need someone to go, stop a minute. But like you said earlier, stop having affairs, or whatever their problem is, instead of going, yeah, I understand how that makes you feel. Because sometimes that's not helpful, because people don't have at that time the cognitive pathway to see how to get out of what I keep calling at the moment the Jupiter crater, this kind of huge, vast pit that we keep getting into that we can't get out of. I've weirdly got, just to show you, just because I said about seeing things outside of yourself, I've got resistance and willfulness from you, but I've got many paths. So it's actually 4, 3, 3, 4.
4, 3,
so
3,
it's
4.
showing me in the cards that there are many paths to the mirror and how to get out, how to heal. There's no one solution. And I've got another card. Oh, it's someone I'm not anymore.
Not the time. You're not the time master anymore.
I'm not doing that anymore. But what I'm getting on the energy of this is something to do with, because it's a 12 energy, it's that energy of the structure of things that you need to somehow tune in a solution for. So you have to let go. Oh, yeah, see, you have to let go of things. I've let go of this card. I don't need to be big, blonde, beardy, time master Merlin energy. I'm transforming into something else, and we can all, as when we heal, transform ourselves.
Right. A good point. That's a very good point. Yeah, there's something about like that's a big part of the giveaway or the sacrifices aspects of our identity. And that's hard. That's really hard because I don't know. I mean, identity.
Well, they're part of our core personality, aren't they? They're things we hang on to. You know, it's interesting when you get people who go, "Oh, you know, I'm this or I'm that," and you think that you could be so much more. That definition is confining you. It's in itself a Jupiter crater. It's a prison.
Right.
And it's the same when people say, "Oh, I'm not a good storyteller" or something. You go, because you keep saying that, so you're materializing. But you're not a good. Yeah.
That's why the words are the curse, right?
Yeah. And maybe that's part of it, Galdeer magic. The more you state something, the more you're cursed by it if it's not your real inner truth.
Yeah, that's a great message. I had two other that fell to the side, and these were above board. So the two that what we just talked about was like below board, right? Which are like the things that maybe we don't want to talk about. The ones that fell on top, I think, are maybe like, I feel like is like 100% up the like kind of up your alley for what a lot of you've been like what you've been talking a lot about with the DNA and how that affects, because these are the two that were up top, and like maybe this is an idea that we're more familiar with these days, like with ancestral lines and how like how that might be affecting things. But I can kind of see like where that's an important part of the puzzle, right? Like oh, you got the circle too.
Yes.
I saw it for a second. We just got to announce every card really clearly.
This one's happy to be seen.
Yeah, the circle is.
Maybe if I put two hands around it.
Well, there's a bunch of hands. There's a bunch of hands in the picture.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, do you think maybe this is just a message of talking about like the ancestral go around or the ancestral merry-go-round or the problems that have just come back around for us to deal with that? I feel like there's two themes, right? There's the like what we see is the stuff that's not ours, and so maybe like in a spiritual sense focusing in on like DNA or focusing in on collective or focusing on like the external influences, because I feel like the circle is kind of the sphere, right? Like the sphere that's influencing around us and the ancestral part of that. And then maybe the below board part is the like the personal accountability piece. Like what parts am I responsible for versus what parts are bigger than me? Whatever, I don't need to show the cards, you guys already saw them.
Yeah, well, I'm getting a really interesting thing to do with this thing I've been talking about recently, epigenetics. So you talked earlier about when this is a sapling, it has that post of support. And one of the ways in describing how you can create epigenetic changes to DNA is if you look at a bonsai tree, they just keep cutting it and cutting it. Every time it tries to grow something big, it's made to miniaturize itself until it takes on board the message that it's not allowed to grow outside its pot. And I was given a couple of bonsai trees. I must have just encouraged them to grow because I had to get new pots for all of them. I allowed them to have their lives back.
Oh, that's awesome. That is that. I mean, that is your energy in a nutshell, right? Well, actually, I shouldn't confine it. That just is your energy.
and that is this healer empath energy, is to encourage people to throw their box away and get a new one, and to move past the boundaries and the barriers that we're confined into. There's something about this that's, yes, many-handed, but there's something about this that's a kind of, it's a community, and I want to say that this community is a whole series of hands saying, stop, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. What did you have with it? What was your second card? That's so weird. I can see your glasses. Oh, it's behind the glasses.
It was the ancient ones, the ancestors.
The ancient ones. So the ancestors were trapped by society. I've got with it thunder.
Oh.
And I have this also, I think, in yesterday's reading, which was about, or the reading the day before, smash your way through your shell. It's almost like the ancestors are encouraging us to break free of old time and move into an energy where this becomes a DNA code, like the lock on a safe that you're turning. So when you unlock, I did go through an energy with someone I was talking to the other day, yesterday, and they'd picked up on an old story of an ancestor. And they said when they did this, it didn't feel like their own life. And then they've experienced something where they moved past it. And now today, all of that energy is being released. So you kind of free the ancestral echo and you free the now. And that's part of healing, tuning in to healing our own codes.
Yeah.
Someone can facilitate the energy for it, but you still have to be the coder. We're all our own coder.
Yeah, I love that message. Do you wanna do an Odin?
Yay! Of course I do.
Do I?
Do I ever? I'm not Odin anymore either. I've got off that one.
Yeah.
Because you know the thing is, I was willing to accept Odin as a kind of personality.
Yeah.
Apart from the fact that I think he's a bit of a bastard. I don't think he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
He's selfish.
Yeah, I think it's like I think it's what do I want to say? It's like when we try to place ourselves into any one archetype, they all have drawbacks, because like I can kind of I don't know, like I can kind of relate to that with like Thor archetype, like the Thor archetype and the Tyr archetype, and like really kind of connecting to those types too, and in different ways they're also like really limited, or they don't necessarily allow for like your bonsai tree story. Like
that's what I was going to say.
It's a pot, yeah.
Tree.
Magic, woo, space magic.
They're an archetype,
yeah.
And you have to grow past their box.
Yeah.
You have to replant yourself in a new pot. And I don't know what pot I'm going to next, but I quite like Kvazier.
You're not a potted plant. You're like a field of grass as the back of your. You're like a field.
I'm an open field. You're an
open field.
And I'm certainly not out to pasture. I've got one Odin, but I haven't turned it over yet.
All right, let me pull one.
Face down. Also, I have the energy healing archetype, weirdly, of Odin of the White Raven.
I got Jera.
I don't know what I've picked.
It's a mystery. Oh, the vulva.
That's why, because she's green. Where are you, Mrs.? Where is she? She only works really badly when she's on me.
I'm moving the card around, and where it shows
Which hand's
up,
it in?
nobody will know. Which hand is it in? Which hand is it in? Pick a hand. I got you. It's a corn crop. It's a corn crop. Things grow, right? Yeah, growing past. It's like your bonsai tree. We're both just mesmerized. Mesmerized by technology.
Jera. Yeah, it's about growth. Healing is about growth.
Yep.
Getting out of the choking bonsai pot and moving to something new. And look, Evolver creates the magic. But So I'm getting this sense earlier when we had the circle about tuning and DNA, and how in your DNA are old ancestral messages with the ancient ones. And somehow you draw that energy towards you and you experience a similar story, but not the same. It's really not the same, but it's of a similar confinement or obstacle or trauma. It comes in a similar way, but you have to work your way past it. The vulva is Galdean magic. It's to speak an honesty, to break old lines, to bring in some kind of new frequency, to grow. Because there's something about this willfulness that's almost like a willfulness in our DNA.
You're going to laugh because I just got mocked. I got Thurs and I got Tiwaz, which is Tyr's Ruin and Thor's Ruin. So
yes. It's also Tuesday and Thursday.
Yeah, that's true.
Tiwaz Day and Thurizaz Day.
I kind of feel like it's a message of, it's like take the most. It's like take what you can of the archetypes, right? Like take the most you can of them, or take the best of the archetype and leave the rest, kind of message.
Yeah, and I would say when I talk, because obviously the day missing between those two is Odin's day.
All right.
And that's been that Odin of the White Raven's been my frequency for a very long time. And I've been quite content and happy with that one. And it's time to put him to bed. Get me a new archetype to play with.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got Ichwar. Honestly.
Every time without fail.
Doesn't mean magic.
No, you're disappearing. Wonder if I can disappear.
Well, do you know? No, we can't. I tried. Oh, he can when he goes down. Bye, Rob. I don't think it does that with me. I have to actually.
No, you look like Patrick.
I'm just ahead.
We look like Patrick. We just get into this little corner of the screen back here.
You know, I think when I get this video out of the record,
yeah,
I think I can put it into iPlayer and I can also put other effects over it.
Oh, great! I
might go through and just be really stupid.
Like give us fedoras or something.
Healing. Yes, very healing. It's very healing.
Yeah, it's true.
So this is sacral. So this message ultimately it's down to you. Whatever healer you go to, they can facilitate an energy that you can work with, but you have to find the code. So I kind of want to say, what does it mean to be a healer empath? Because that's what a healer empath is doing for each person. But what does it mean to explore that energy? Because a lot of people often ask me, when I do a healing, does the energy that passes through me to another person have an effect on me? And many other healers often say it's like a bottle of milk, where you give the person a drink of milk, but there's still a trace of it around the glass bottle. And I can't say that I feel that myself.
Yeah,
I just don't think it's mine. I don't think it's my energy.
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, I mean, I've talked to you a little bit about this, but like, I feel like I still kind of deal with some of the residuals of having been a therapist, and like, and I can tell that sometimes by just like it's kind of like sometimes you'll just feel somebody's presence, you know, like, I wouldn't say it's like in the same way, like when somebody's passed, that you'd feel like the presence of a past loved one coming in, you know, it's not quite like that, but it's like you can kind of just get that essence of somebody, or like kind of connected to their thoughts, you know, not to kind of branch into the telepathic empath reading that comes later, you know what I mean? But like,
I think there's crossovers though, Rob, you can't help it.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I think that's still a thing that I kind of deal with from time to time. And I would just say, like, my perspective on it is that it's just taken time to kind of purge some of that energy, which I don't know, maybe like when I was counseling, maybe I could have done a better job of purging that energy, but then also too, like, I guess I wasn't really as aware of the energetics of it. So maybe that would be my recommendation, is to focus on, you know, like if you're doing healing work, to purge that every day, you know.
When I was very young and first did sound healing, I didn't understand it. I just did it and allowed whatever to happen. There were two things that happened that were quite big. One was I used to get so hot that I would get a layer of sweat over me. And I eventually began to understand that that was almost like an emotional blockage to not allow my energy into their healing process. It had to be divine energy, or whatever you want to call it, but it had to be void of me. And I didn't know how, because as a healer, when you first work with healing people, you want so badly to heal somebody as if you are some kind of weird, you know, Christ energy. I lay my hands on and you're better. And it's not your energy, it's spiritual energy. So you actually, although you will, you somehow got to stop your will from being there, because the only person capable of doing the healing is the person being healed, and it's whether they want to let it in. And so learning to be just a vessel for the healing is quite important.
I think, I mean, when you're talking about that, I just keep thinking about Messiah complex, and I think
that's another one.
And I mean, like, and I think a lot of people who venture into healing go in with the Messiah complex. Now, like, that might sound more grandiose than it may imply. Like, I'm not saying that every person who wants to be like a Reiki healer goes in and they're just like, I am Christ. You know, like, I'm not trying to say that every person is like that, but I think that there is. So this is a big piece of programming that I think a lot of us are prone to. So like if you grow up, say, like if you kind of grow up in some type of Christian dynamic, like which a lot of the world has, right? At least like a lot of the West has. And you see that the ideal, right? Like Jesus Christ is the ideal to, like if you grow up in any kind of like Christianized home or something like that. If you grow up like in an atheist home or something, you're not going to suffer from this as much as somebody who grows up like Christian or something. But any of those like monotheistic religions, I mean, same thing with Buddhism too, right? Like people who grow up in Buddhist traditions, the ideal is to become a Buddha, right? Which is also like another form of a Messiah. So then you find yourself subconsciously constantly comparing yourself and contrasting yourself to somebody like Jesus Christ or Buddha. Issue being is that those, I think that they were real people. I just think that there was a lot of stories that were told about them to give them an aspect of holiness. And so like you kind of start to understand that you've been trying to live up to an ideal that's, you know, probably not possible.
Yeah. And I would say that all of these kind of energies of empathic healing in this situation is actually heal as much of yourself, your DNA, your ancestors' bloodlines, and your philosophies for how you live your life, and then live it. Yeah. The idea of being so holy that you wake every day and begin in a whole series of spiritual prayers. You're spiritual when you're dead. We're here to experience life.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's an important thing, I think, in keeping grounded, you know, and that probably would also tie into some other things too, within the Empath series, but just that idea that, you know, it's like we spend a lot of time thinking and talking about the spirit world and the energetics and things like that. Eventually one day you're gonna die, and that's all you're gonna have to worry about.
And that's exactly, you'll be gifted all of the stuff you weren't able to connect with immediately. Yeah. And you'll be going, oh my God, I wasted so much of my life looking for all these frequencies.
And then the
when they were coming anyway.
And then I think one of the ironies about it is that sometimes you, and I know that you do some mediumship and that you connect with spirits sometimes, and then you get a lot of spirits that are still kind of like pining for the earth realm, right? And then they're like trapped or whatever, because now they're dead. Now they're in the energetic world, but now it's like, but they want back into the third dimension. So it's just like, just be where you are.
They want to tell people shit that they've now discovered.
Yeah, it's just like, go die, just be dead, get out of here.
Yeah, I often say to them that we really need to just open the door and you need to go, because it's all pretty well, like I know my mum and dad pop around because they're newly dead and they want to keep an eye on the living, and so I think in their time frame they can hang around, but ultimately they've got to go on and get on with other lives.
Yep, gotta go do stuff.
Go do stuff.
Yeah. I don't know how we got down that rabbit hole
today. I was going to go do some stuff today. I was going to go make some videos of nice things. I was going to get a train into Buenos Aires because it was white. I thought, no, I want a blue sky for it. It's gone blue now.
Nice.
So let's ask about the healer and what it means to be a healer.
Okay. What do you use for that?
I don't know.
We have shed no tarot on the subject.
I know it's weird because I've not been shedding a lot of tarot on things, but I don't mind getting a tarot deck. I've only got
use light seers. Do you have light seers?
I've only got 2 tarot decks, and they're both the same.
Oh,
they're just a bigger and a smaller version of the same deck.
All right, I'll pull a light series.
I'm thinking there's apparently lots of esoteric shops in Buenos Aires. I thought I might go in there, get a whole new load of tarot decks.
Nice. What do you think you're gonna get?
No idea. It's always about what there is.
Oh, sure.
But there's a massive bookshop here that's built inside a theatre, and it's amazing. And I reckon they might have quite a big collection.
Oh, nice. All right. Let's see. Anything?
What does it mean to be a healer empath?
What does it mean?
Why do we need to go through that energy? Is it to shake ourselves of things like Messiah complex? Is it to learn to be a vessel? I don't know what it is. Oi! I've got one that's bounced all the way over near the card, which is the 7 of Wands.
Oh, see, I got wands too. I got 5 of Wands and 9 of Wands.
I've got 5 of Wands.
Ah, nice.
And actually, I was interested in how both of these have got this sense of how do you move past the strife to being into that energy of not necessarily valor, as it says on the bottom of the card, but understanding how to wise up to who you are as a healer, not to get caught in the pitfalls. Because a lot of the empathic things we go through, they are to teach us how to not be shadowy.
Mm-hmm.
I am not moving. There's a weird...
It's just so, I just love how the camera just so nonchalantly.
The thing is, when you were talking earlier and I was just sitting watching you, I could see my image moving and I wasn't moving at all, but it kind of like has this moment where it squares you up and you look like you're floating.
You're just a floating head in the jungle. Well,
I think my shirt's confusing it.
Yeah, it might be. It's a lovely shirt. It's very nice.
I got it in Mexico.
I'm knocking into stuff. Okay. I felt the same thing. I felt like 5 of Wands had everything to do with like kind of your own clamoring is what I got. I got the word clamoring, but I felt like it's almost like it always makes me think of my dad. My dad always says grasping at straws, but like when you're trying to grasp at straws to help yourself. And I think a lot of times people find themselves in the healer role thinking that they're going to go heal people, but really it's like they're subconsciously trying to heal themselves. And I feel like the nine of wands is like the end of that journey, right? It's almost like you guys don't need to see the cards. It doesn't really matter so much.
And hear them.
But I feel like nine of wands is kind of it's almost like been there, done that, got the t-shirt, because like nine of wands a lot of times has like sort of that energy of a bit of fatigue, like where somebody's just tired of the shit, and then
tired of doing all the spiritual journeying and not achieving something. But I think it's because for a long time I think we're being given shite spiritual advice. I think that because people have spent a long time monetizing things. Oh look, sorry, just as an aside, I've got another mirror. 5775.
Oh, cool.
Break free of the bonsai pot. And in a weird way, this one fell on the floor that you can't see.
What was that?
I have to bring this one near because you need to see it.
Oh, see,
Did you see?
I was actually just looking, and I didn't get princess. I got the knight.
Yeah, well, in this one, there's a turtle stepping out of a shell that she's opening, but the turtle's got room to grow in that shell, and yet there's something about it saying, you've outgrown this, go somewhere else. And that's what the poem with the poplar tree was at the beginning. It was saying, move your roots to somewhere else and regrow renewed, be healed, but it's the same you, but differently energized. Oh, you see, and that's got the roots on it.
Yeah, it feels like somebody's uprooted something and they're about to plant it somewhere else.
Well, and the poem was about seeds being flown in the air. Oh, and I've got the knight, which is the king of swords.
See, I got another knight too. So check this out. What I kind of feel like is coming through here. It's almost like, so the Knight of Cups, there's nothing wrong with the Knight of Cups inherently, but the Knight of Cups came out in reverse. And it's almost like, to me, with your Princess of Cups, to me, that almost feels like some kind of message of falling prey to like romanticism or something like that. Like because I do think that healing is a very romantic idea. But then my cards actually ended on the Knight of Wands.
Oh.
So yours ended on the Knight of Swords, mine ended on the Knight of Wands. But I like, to me, I just noticed that the Knight of Wands is just drumming and like having a good time. And the horse in the back, I mean, right away to me is like freedom horse, like that's the sense to me. Like a freedom.
I also, with that one, I always think there's something of the sacral.
Yeah.
I've actually got a couple more. I have 6. So I have this knight. Now, in this deck, the knight is the king because you have the princess and the prince. So this is about elevating your thoughts. And I've got the 4 of swords, which is healing. So it's saying the only way you heal is to rethink your thoughts. Swords for me at the moment are the editing suite. They're the thing that allow us to copy, paste, and cut and remove. So when you get toxicity of emotions, if you can identify them, you can heal them. But if you don't go looking for them, you can't heal anything. And I actually end with the Fool.
Oh, nice.
Like a new you, a new person.
I feel like that's kind of a connected energy, right? Like just not, maybe not taking it so seriously, just kind of like lending yourself more to like the natural rhythm of things, instead of getting in your head about who it is that you have to be in the world, to heal yourself. It's like, well, what if you like novel concept? What if you just went and enjoyed your life? Whoa.
I'm having cognitive dissonance now.
That's a very good therapy word. Nice.
Yeah, it is because it's a necessary one.
Yeah.
Because in fact, cognitive dissonance, in many ways, is where we started. because it's what we see in others that we won't look at in ourselves, because if we identify it in ourselves, it creates a cognitive dissonance.
Right.
And actually, they're what we need to face. Those
Right.
things where we can't seem to bring the two spheres of the brain together. In that gap, in that crevice, is some kind of ancestral miasma that's not letting you see it. I don't know where that came from.
Yeah, I'm just relating that back because I was having, actually, speaking of horses, I was having a conversation with somebody about horses, and they were telling me an interesting trivia fact. They're talking about the fact that a horse does not have a corpus callosum. And so the corpus callosum is the matter that's in between the brain that actually brings the left and right hemispheres together. And they were telling me that it's like if you walk behind a horse, like they'll see you, going to the left. And then if you walk behind a horse and you come out on the other side, on the right side of the horse, it's like the horse is kind of like surprised, like there isn't that sense of continuity. But I was just kind of thinking about like how maybe that's a reason why, like in this instance, like why horses are so free, because it's like they don't need to rectify that same aspect that us humans have to rectify.
You see, and I thought in a weird way, but before you said surprised, I thought they were going to imagine that there were now two people behind them.
Oh yeah,
because some person was that way, and then you came out the other side, and they're like, "There's two people now."
Maybe
I was always taught very young, never walk behind a horse because they'll kick you. Yeah, and that's probably why, because you surprise them.
Yeah, the trick is that you put a hand on their back and you kind of keep it moving across and you get really, really close, because then if they kick you, then they can't really like kick you with full force. But never walk like 5 feet behind a horse, otherwise they'll knock your damn head off.
Yeah, well, my guy's flying on a horse.
He is, yeah. A lot of horses, lots of knights. Oh yeah, there's a horse. Yeah, it's a horse. I thought it was a unicorn for a second in this one too. So many horses.
On what?
Just believe that there's a card.
I always get the sense on that that card, Knight of Cups, that he's writing untruthful love letters. There's something about he's laid out a whole picnic and it's all a deceit. I don't know why. There's something a little bit pork pie hat wide boy about him.
Yeah, I think it's the fact that he didn't even lace up his Chuck Taylors. I think that is something. It's like,
and has he not got wings on his shoes?
Russell Andy's got a fedora. Like that's
pork pie hat. Questionable. Has he got wings on his shoes?
He does. Yeah.
Yeah, mercurial. See, don't trust him. Flighty bastard.
That's right. Yeah.
Maybe that's a message about being careful about who you look for healing. Maybe that goes back to that original thing where I said a good healer will ask you what you're willing to let go of to heal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think unfortunately, and I say this having been in a healing role, I mean, it's like healers are kind of a dime a dozen, and there's a lot of them out there, and there's a lot of them that have, just as many issues as you do, and so I think maybe it's just like taking people off of the pedestal, and like despite maybe bold claims, because there's a lot of people who kind of, I feel like a thing that has always mattered a lot to me, like when I talk to somebody who I think is in a place to have healing capabilities, I feel like it's like there's a real sense of groundedness, and there's never like really any bold claims, like that's a thing that I always kind of look out for too, is like how bold the claims are, like what they're kind of, because I feel like if you ever start to get into the process of being sold, if you start to feel like you're being sold in any kind of healing situation, that's just kind of a thing to look out for, because a good healer won't sell you on anything.
I had people that would come in and they would say, I do the healing, and then they'd say at the end, so do I need another appointment next week? When I went, no. If I've just balanced you, you're balanced. You
Right.
can go out after a sonic shower and get dirty again, but right now you're balanced. So you have the ability now to identify things because all the blockages are removed and actually make a change. You'll know when it's time to come back and see me because you'll feel out of whack again. But for the moment, you're not healed, but you're in balance. So you can now go and work on yourself. And this guy that came in, and he was obsessed with he wanted a healing every week. And I went, you're not coming next week. I mean, aside from anything else, if I need you to come every week, I'm basically saying I'm shit. Because so he went the following week to a Reiki healer. And when he went in, the Reiki healer went to go up and do some hand magic behind him and just went, why have you come here? You're completely imbalanced.
That is a really interesting commentary though on like how we can go down the rabbit hole on compulsive need for healing, and that doesn't even have to be sound healing or Reiki or anything like that, but even just like the like self-help books or like self-help videos or
tarot reading.
Tarot reading comes into it too, because I think, and I like I say that with the full disclaimer of like I really enjoy readings. Like readings are great and they're a lot of fun, but it's just like, do you really need to know like a reading for every day? It's like, just I don't know, my 2 cents.
Well, hear a reading and then work with the energies that you heard about in the reading, because Sadir magic is about being given a prophecy through cards, through runes, and deciding to own the energies and call them in. And you can't do that overnight. Everything takes time. I also want to just say, I remember when you first left where you were working, there was a sense in that energy where you say, I've worked really well. You were quite good at sorting people's minds out quite quickly. And I seem to recall you getting slapped thighs for that.
Yeah, well, I did actually. I used to get in trouble because I would close cases too quickly, and so my thought always was like, so for standard psychotherapy, like in the day and age that it exists now, usually the idea is that like at most a person comes in for like 12 sessions or something like that, which is like 3 full months of therapy, like if they're coming in every week. But I used to try to get people out as quickly as I possibly could because the goal was for them to not need me, and it didn't always bode well with management. They're like, why are you closing people so quickly? It's like, string them out a little bit more.
Earn some more cash.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I came to heal them. I didn't think about the time frame.
Yeah,
the time master said there is no time frame, just heal them quickly.
Yeah, and then like in a really selfish way too, I want to talk to new people. I don't want to hear about so and so's whatever forever. Move them along.
I read an article. I didn't send it to you, but it was a woman who was giving up on therapy, and I was like, oh, this would be really interesting. I wonder what her reasons are. Because she'd been going to the same woman for 10 years.
Yes, yeah, and that's
once a week.
Twice a week.
No, once a week.
Oh, once a week. Yeah, some people do like 2 times a week for, and it's just, I mean, like
shit therapist.
Yeah. Well, and actually too, and at some point too, you'd think the therapist would be like, well, it's been about 10 years.
Ooh, I've heard this story from you before. Hang on. How about I tell you that story you keep repeating?
It's a good story.
Yeah. It's my victim story. I like it.
Yeah. Very true.
Well, I think I like the story here with the healer empath. It's not about the healer. They help facilitate. It's about us. And that's what I'm finding with these stories. They're about us retuning our own souls.
Yep. I think, and also I think detaching from, for instance, too, like with a healer, detaching from what you think it means to be a healer, because that can be really limiting too, especially too with like the archetype of the healer, Chiron, wounded healer. It's like, do you want to be that forever? I don't.
I want to be a healed healer.
Yeah, exactly.
And I am at the moment. I am completely working on healing me and transforming me, not just physically, but emotionally, and letting go of, like, I'm doing a whole life review. Every time I do one of these videos, things in my life come up. Another energy that I haven't expressed today, but it keeps coming into my head, and I'm like, just leave it alone. But it's a difficult story, and I feel like I have to say it because that's part of releasing it. So when I used to do sound healing very early on, I had a day when I was working with two friends and I stepped right inside their bodies, and I don't know how I did it. It just happened. Suddenly I was pulled energetically inside them. With the first one, I could feel every out of aligned bone in his body. I didn't know what to do with it. I could just feel it and sense it. Like it was like you suddenly felt like you were standing differently because you were mirroring their exact body shape. With the second one, I was so young, I went inside and it was like there was just darkness everywhere. And my immediate thought was, oh my God, he's got cancer.
Oh, wow.
And because I was young, and that's something you wouldn't want to say to someone, I think you've got cancer, my dear friend, that I kind of rationalized in my head that it was like seeing the whole cosmos inside his chest chakra. And he had cancer and he died. And that was a really difficult energy. And I decided from there on in, I would never allow myself to go inside somebody and view them. Oh. And I think that will come up in the medical empath story later.
I mentioned this on my channel. I think maybe a few weeks back about getting a hit on a medical issue for one of Lindsay's co-workers when I was just walking through their workspace, and actually came back confirmed. So he actually had the echocardiogram. So anyways, if you haven't seen this on my channel, very, very short story. I was going through my wife's work to get some boxes for moving, happened upon a place where one of her coworkers had a medical incident, and I just got like this flash of what the scene looked like, and I said he needs to go get an echocardiogram and get his heart checked. That was like the short story of it. But I actually just saw him this weekend, and yeah, he actually mentioned that he went to go get an echocardiogram and found out that caffeine was making his heart palpitate. And so it was like, so it's just like, it just comes up.
But it gave him a solution. It gave him a solution.
It did. Well, and I found out too, like, and I don't want to take too much credit for it, because I found out he was already in the works of getting the echocardiogram. It just was weird because it was like the day he found out about my message to him, he like had scheduled it earlier that day, and he kind of had like, that's kind of strange, and but it's interesting how that kind of plays out. And I feel like the things that, like, kind of what you're saying with like having those experiences of like being inside somebody's body and like sensing like what the ailments are, I just think, I think it's just important to remember, like you didn't ask for that experience in the same way I didn't ask for the information about that guy's heart. Like it just popped into my head, and so like where that comes from our guide, from their guide, from spirit, from, whatever, you know what I mean? It's like, like you didn't cause the cancer or anything, you know what I mean? Like you just.
No, and I couldn't have stopped it.
Right.
Because again, that was down to his own journey, and it was a difficult one for him.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
But they are energies that you run into that, as you say, they come upon you. If you sat there and went, hang on, I'm just scanning your body. I mean, I'm mocking that at the moment, but that is one of the empathic traits.
Yeah, and maybe some people work like that. I've actually have always felt like that doesn't apply to me so well. Like I feel like if I try, I don't get anything, if I'm just sitting in someone's presence and something comes up to me, you know, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like maybe fishing for it makes it difficult. I guess it's like,
I think when we fish, I think we sometimes pick up a rubber Wellington and not the fish. And we don't know that the information we're giving them because we're fishing is true. And actually, when it just sparks in because spirit decides it needs to be in you, it's often more honest. It was the same with the one that was the astral empath, talking about how when you try to astrally project, you pick up wrong information. When you just go to sleep, you go into the zone in the right way under the kind of cosmic law. And I think that that's one of the things that comes about with healers is you're under pressure because you're earning money to do it so often. And you have to. You can't do these things for nothing. You have to eat and live. But it builds up a kind of pressure that can be a bit overweighty. And you have to really be certain that you really are picking something up that's going to be helpful.
Sure. Yeah. No,
because you can give someone a piece of advice to do with, you know, you might pick up something that says you do have some kind of breathing issues with your chest. And rather than them finding some solution to breathe better and give themselves greater longevity, you can create a self-fulfilling prophecy where their chest gets worse because it becomes an anxiety.
Yeah. No, very true. Very true.
So there's with all of these empathic energies, there are darker sides that we have to be wary of. I think we have to be humble of the gifts.
I think that is a fantastic point. And I also think too, there's a theme emerging about control, you know, and like kind of recognizing that there is an inherent lack of, I feel, okay, I guess you could say like, it's like you can kind of control to try, like you can kind of try to control these things, but I feel like the more control that you try to insert, that's kind of when it starts to move into like the darker frequencies, like you're saying, because then it's like you're kind of using it for your own personal gain, your own clout, your own power, your own, you know, something like that, versus just sort of being receptive, you know. That the one keeps popping into my head, the force, like it's kind of like I always got to bring it to Star Wars. See my background, you know what I mean? But like but just picking up on it, you know what I mean, and like being informed or knowing things are being connected or like in the flow of these things versus trying to control it for your use and for your benefit.
Yeah, the one that came out this morning was the molecular empath, and it was talking about where I transformed midges, little flies, into zigzags of energy and then into orbs, and you could bring them into your hand and manipulate and control things. But I could only do it because at that moment, Spirit said they were going to help me do it so that I could understand it. But I once moved the flames of a fire, because they got out of control and I pushed them backwards. Wow. And everyone kind of went at this ceremony, oh, wow, we saw you do that. And I went, yeah, it wasn't really me though. Spirit let it happen. And that's part of the energy frequency, is understanding that it almost takes you and Spirit to do these things successfully. It's like there's a door, you've got a key to open it, and Spirit's got a key to open it, and then the energy can pass through. But when you open the door and Spirit's not ready for you, you don't get the frequency, you don't get the force.
Right. Always bring it back to Star Wars somehow.
I know. I'm still working on my Princess Leia plans.
Well, I see like you're already kind of with the chops. I feel like you're already kind of going in that direction, but like you could just have two big beard buns.
I could have them on my chin.
Yes. Please,
do you know what?
Please do that.
Used to, in Britain, in the bakers, they used to sell these spirals of bread, sweetened bread, and they were called Chelsea buns, and they were a coil, and that's what we used to try and hold them to Chelsea buns to pretend we were Princess Leia.
Oh, that's awesome. Too good. Too good.
I loved her so much. She's still alive. Yeah. The actress is dead, but Princess Leia is still alive.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because she's an archetype. I have outgrown her, but I still like putting her clothes on.
I can see it. Like, I think you look good in white. I think is a good color for you.
Yeah, I might have to give that a go. I've just realised my t-shirt's coming out. Been like weird long sleeves. That didn't happen earlier. The only reason I've got 2 shirts on is because it's cold here.
Oh, is it?
I'm in winter. It gets dark at 6 p.m. It doesn't get light till after 8, about 8:30.
Oh my gosh.
And it's chilly, and I love it. When I came out of the airport after 30 something degrees and 29 degrees at night, on 90, 65, 79 in Fahrenheit. And the guy who was giving me the taxi ride said, "Oh, it's really cold out here." And I just went, "Oh my God, I love it."
I bet you do. Oh my gosh. I would have never made it. I would have never made it in Mexico for a whole year, or however long you were there. No.
Unbelievably hot. I don't know how the people do it. Other than my hostess, she is indigenous. She doesn't even break a sweat.
I'm sure if you grew up there,
DNA not to.
Right. Yeah, DNA and just being acclimated, but yeah, not a chance. I would never make it.
Also, there's no baldness in Mexico. No, because you need a thick head of hair or your head will burn. So there's no need for a gene where you lose your hair.
Oh.
It doesn't come about. They've all got thick heads of hair, and you just walk around going, "You bastards."
Yeah, this is starting to get a little thinner up here.
I'd love a hairdo.
It's getting a little thinner.
I've got a moustache, dude.
Yes, you do. Yes,
I
you do. Yeah. Yeah, the chops are a good look, man. I dig it. When you sent that picture, I was just like, hell yeah.
I know. It was really weird because I had the beard growing back, and I knew I wanted to do a handlebar moustache, but I'm like, I need more time for that to grow. And I went in the shop. They said, "Come back in an hour." And I went back and I took him pictures. I want mutton chops, in bad English and Spanish. Actually, it's called Castilchano here, Castilian. Oh. Yeah, it's not like other Spanish. It's completely different. Oh. And he chose. He went, "I like this picture best," and I was like, "All right then." And then he did my head, and he put a blindfold on and pushed me back down in the seat so that the little bits of hair don't flick in your eyes. And I was lying back, and I was like, "Oh my God, this could be really awful." Because I don't remember my chin. I've not seen my chin for about 30 years. And then when he took the blindfold off, I was just like, "This could be awful." And I immediately just went, "Oh no, I like that."
I think, you can use my famous line, which is what I always tell Lindsay whenever I'm growing a beard. I always tell her it's not a beard, it's a mustache training facility. So
it is.
So you're just gonna grow
the weirdest part is that this side's lighter than this side.
Just gives it dimension.
It's darker. That's my shadow side.
It's your dark side. That's your dark empath coming through in the beard.
Vader. This is the Vader side, and this is the Obi-Wan side.
You're watching too many tarot readings.
Right, so just before I go, I feel like before we go, I feel like we should just give people a card from somewhere random.
From somewhere random. Okay, I got a good random deck.
I might use Alchemy of Astrology.
All right, you do that. I'm going to pull a native spirit.
Ooh. I think I've got one. Oh, I've got 2. No. I'm putting that one back. I'm having the first one. It's just, I've got this weird thing where when I start shuffling, I have to stop. I can't just go, "Oh, there's the card," and put them back. Oh. I got that one.
Nothingness.
I've got blankness.
Oh, you got psyche.
I've got psyche.
I couldn't make it up. I got wounded healer. I didn't even remember that there's a I didn't even remember that there's a wounded healer in this deck.
I feel like you've got to go to your soul's home to heal the wounded healer. We're on Healer Empath. Only you can heal yourself.
I'm gonna take a look. Sometimes I like what they write in this book, and sometimes I don't like it at all.
I think my phone's making weird noises.
It just says
oh, go ahead. I just saw an orb go past me. It won't be in the shot. It just went across there in front of me. Anyway.
A lot of things happen in the jungle.
Yeah, they do. Snakes. Did you know I was sitting on my back doorstep or front doorstep one day and a giant snake slithered by me and I just thought, I'm out of here.
Bye. See you later.
It was a boa constrictor. It's like pure, 8 foot of pure muscle slithering by, and I'm like, whoa, I can see it.
No, thank you. I'd be like, I'm out of here. See ya. All right, it says healing energy, vitality, and life force energy are flowing through you and to you. You are a healer, and you provide healing for others, even if you're not conscious of it. Whatever needs healing in your life is being resolved. Your so-called faults are becoming your virtues. No matter what happened in your past, the past does not need to equal the future. It's true, the cracks can be where the light enters the soul. Fits nicely.
Yeah, absolutely does. I would say also the Psyche, her story is about she seeks love in another. And it's only when she begins to heal herself that she can go back to Athena and she's deified. Her human soul is created into a god soul so that she can be with her lover, but not until she's fixed herself.
Very cool.
Because that's a lot of the problem that people have. They seek the solutions in another. So they look for things that they like in another. And really what they should do is look for the things they don't like in another and see that in themselves.
Very true. Very true. That'll tell you a lot. Anything you can't tolerate in another person will tell you a lot about things that you don't accept in yourself.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, that's a really difficult message to hear.
Yeah. Nobody likes that message.
No.
Yeah.
I'm quite enjoying it. It's my favorite at the moment. If I catch myself thinking, I don't like that about you, I go, right, I don't like that about me. How is that manifesting in me? Right. Deal with it.
Exactly.
Well, thank you, Obi-Wan, for coming down from Starseed 11.
Yes. You're Yoda down in the swamp.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're Yoda with mutton chops.
Yeah, and it's mucky down there. It's mucky. You should see my feet. They're caked.
Well,
gonna get me some stilts.
I'll save it for your OnlyFans. Put your feet on there. Get more tips.
They love all them kinks.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me, Russell. It was fun.
Always a joy. I love you very much, Rob.
Yeah, you too. You too. Thanks for having me here.
And I'll get about editing this now.
Fantastic. I think we did more than a half hour.
I know, more than the 40 minutes. Because when I'm on iMovie on this iPad, at 40 minutes it stops and it goes, you can't go past 40 minutes. You're like, what?
Oh, yeah.
I bought 258 gigabytes or something. There's room. Just keep recording.
I think there's just so many good messages in there. I really thought that there was a lot of good messages for people because I think it kind of spoke to, I kept getting kind of like flashes of a lot of different people like within our tarot tribe when we were talking about different things. And so I know a lot of these messages are for them. So that's good that I think even if it went longer, it's still good to get those messages out.
And people, There's loads more. I know you can't see the card. Oh no, look. But there's about 16 or 18 still. I don't know. There's loads. And they all have a little bit of a darkness in their tails. All of them.
Dark like space.
I'm going to go and choose some more of the cud and make me some milk. I'm going to see if I can lactate.
Another thing for your OnlyFans.
the lactating empath. No, because look, what is the story of Anthumbla in the void? She feeds Ymir milk. She licks the salt rime and creates milk. It's a very holy energy, lactating.
I mean, I'll accept a lot of gifts, but that one I'd be like, can I take this one back? Holiness and the magic of motherhood, sure, I totally accept that, but
absolutely. But it's actually, you've just broken a dream. I had a dream last night, not about being pregnant, but about being like a mother energy. That's weird. I'm gonna have to go away and think about that.
That's why it came through.
Yeah,
spirit works in mysterious ways. We're joking about lactating, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, a dream.
Yeah, that's weird. I have to go and think about that. Right, so beautiful people, wassail from me.
And wassail from me. See you guys later. I'm gonna go back to space. Bye.
Bye, Starseed 11. Yeah, can we just vanish out of the shots?
I'm gonna try. Hang on. Let me try. That's what I was trying to do, but it wasn't working. Can I get up now?
I don't know.
I can only see you.
I think it found my head down there, and it brought it up.
I just see an eye. All right, bye, people. Bye.
I think the only way for me to do it is to actually go off the chair and go. Look, it's still.
Let me hide behind this phallus.
I'm gone. If it's finding me now, then technology's become really creepy.
There.
Oh, that's what we should do. That's the easiest way. Just hide behind a card.
Yep, that works.
Gone. Oh no, my hand's still in it. No, look, now it's showing the bloody card.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Hang on, let me try it with this book.
No, that picks up just fine. None of the cards work at all, but the orange folder just.
Right, so we need an orange deck.
Yeah. Yep. Basically.
Right, we're really going. Bye, people.
Bye, everybody.